Saint Francis and the theme of love. Welcome to this exciting video. Remember to focus on the syllabus dot points, explain the contribution, and analyze the impact. Note that in the HSC and the trial, you don't need to give a biography, but you need to use those two key ideas of contribution and impact. And that's what we're going to look at today with Saint Francis. So during the video, take some notes on the theme, get some specific examples, some quotes, but don't forget to explain and elaborate on your examples and your quotes. Francis found his inspiration in the life of Jesus Christ. The incarnation served as a minute-to-minute reminder to be deeply involved in the world, loving people at close range instead of from inside the strong, stony walls of a monastery. So in Matthew 5, verses 43 to 44, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Here also they followed the pattern of Jesus, who balanced intense contemplation with loving service to the world. So this idea of love and service, so agape, love, means service. The words that Francis heard from the cross of San Damiano, repair my church. Francis said the world is our cloister and urged his brothers, the Franciscans, out into the world as messengers of God, as servants of the world, and as evangelists for the teachings of Jesus. The ways for the first Franciscan friars spread their message were certainly in contrast to the way others were promoting the Christian faith at the time, instead of forcing people to convert at the point of a sword. Contrast the violence of the Crusades with a gentle manner of Francis. As Francis says, as they go about the country, the friars are to take nothing with them from their journey. They should not offer resistance to injury. If a man strikes them on the right cheek, they should turn the other cheek also towards him. So the Franciscans were among the first to take the message of Jesus to Asia and the New World, where they created a string of missions along the coast of California. So many people refer to Francis as the father of modern missionary movement. And more recently, later, during the Holocaust of the Jews in the 20th century in Germany, Franciscan Saint Maximilian Kolbe and many other friars went to their deaths so Jews could live. Pause the video now and YouTube search Saint Maximilian Mary Kolbe. There's a really good video. Check it out. St. Francis saw himself as the rich man in Luke's Gospel. So in Luke 18, a certain ruler, a rich man, asked him, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" When Jesus heard all of this, he said to him, "There is still one thing lacking. Sell all that you have, all that you own, and distribute the money to the poor." So interestingly, Francis saw himself as that rich man. So from the earliest days of the Franciscan movement, followers of Francis have practiced a second form of simplicity called the mendicant or open-handed approach. They were not to take with them any gold, any silver, copper, bags, change of clothes, sandals, or even a walking staff. With the Dominican order, which was founded around the same time, the Franciscans introduced a new way of radical living the gospel as within a mendicant. And Francis declared, "He who gives one stone will receive one blessing." So in John's Gospel, chapter 13, Jesus washes the disciples' feet as a sign of love and service, and called his disciples to do the same. And in Matthew 16:24, pick up your cross and follow me. So the idea of cross as a metaphor of those challenges, those difficulties that we are to not let go of, but to actually embrace. Francis inspired the phrase later on, preach the gospel and where necessary use words. Those who supervised Franciscan communities weren't called prior. So at that time, the head of a monastery was called a prior, which means first, but minister, which conveys a more pastoral feel, so one who serves. So this Franciscan approach had multi-level impact. First, it was liberating for the friars because it allowed each individual to develop his or her own way to communicate the mercy of God. Second, Francis's approach also succeeded with the people who saw it in action. However, there was widespread skepticism. The medieval church was wealthy, powerful, corrupt, and hollow. Seeing faith in action helped people to believe. And third, that's why Francis and his friars gave to the poor, cared for the lepers, suffered persecution, and sacrificed themselves for the benefit of others. During the Black Death, from about 1347 onward, an estimated tens of thousands of Franciscans lost their lives serving the afflicted who were suffering from the fatal disease. And more recently, the disfigured man who Pope Francis kissed said the Pope didn't hesitate to embrace him when the two met in St. Peter's Basilica. So you can see there, Vince Riva, who is 53, who suffers from a terrible skin disease, was embraced by Pope Francis, obviously inspired by Saint Francis. And so Vincio Riva said later, he touched my face, and when he was doing so, I only felt love. So again, pause the video now, Google search the article, Disfigured Man Kissed by Pope, and have a read. Go to it now. And also on Friday and Saturday evenings, the Friars van heads out from the Friary in Leichhardt in Sydney to near St Mary's Cathedral to give hot drinks and sweets to those experiencing different forms of poverty, hardship, and homelessness. Again, pause the video, Google search Leichhardt Friars van, and have a look at what the Franciscan Friars are doing to serve the poor in Sydney. So finally, a little research activity for you. So research the document Fratelli Tutti by Pope Francis. Write about maybe 10 or 20 notes about the theme of love and service. So you can either Google search Fratelli Tutti, open up the real document, or maybe even go to YouTube, type in Fratelli Tutti, and there's a really short 4-minute video. And for an extension activity, read the Lessons of St. Francis by Jean-Michel Talbot. I hope you've enjoyed this video. God bless. Bye-bye.